Good evening and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. Hopefully it works this time. So tonight I have the honour of interviewing Kelly Pretty. Now Kelly is an international love coach, a spiritual teacher and speaker. So once she comes on we'll add her and we'll find out a little bit more. So my intention for tonight's interview is that everyone involved positively transforms. So you, the listener, Kelly and myself. So let's just see if she's ready to come on. Kelly, are you there? The sound was funny before. Here she is. Perfect. Let's add Kelly. Work this time. Excited. So it's just adding Kelly just now. And then we'll get started. Hello, that's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
Pleased to meet you. No, it wasn't you. It was mine. You know when you can just hear your voice coming back at you. I couldn't concentrate.
Oh.
So,
how are you?
Last we meet.
I know. How are you?
I'm good. We've never actually met before, so the listeners out there, we've had a few texts and a little sort of voice note, but I've never met you before, so it's great to meet you and have you on here.
Thank you. Likewise. Really nice to meet you. I know your brother quite well, so it's lovely to meet you because I've heard so many amazing things about you.
So I'm kind of just like him with long hair. So
just as nice.
Tell us all about yourself. I've told the listeners that you are an international love coach, a spiritual leader, and a speaker. Tell us some more.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing, my journey so far. I actually started working with your brother. He was my coach around...
amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. How long ago would it have been? It would have been about 3 years ago. And I was working in recruitment, and we had so many synchronicities that when I met him, I was like, right, I have to work with him. There's too many synchronicities going on for it not to be for a reason. So, it completely changed my life. Like, I just think coaching is the most amazing thing ever. And I met my now fiance through we got engaged a few weeks ago, actually, in LA. So,
congratulations.
Thank you. It's just been an amazing journey. And I thought, well, if I can learn so much about myself, change so much about my life just through all the methods that I've learned along the way through spiritual coaching as well as the life coaching piece, then everyone can create their dream life. So I just decided to quit my corporate job and then I started my business in January of this year.
I did the same.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
January as well. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so it's just been like the most amazing journey. I feel so grateful. Like, the opportunities I've had have been absolutely insane. So it just goes to show you that I think if you're in your purpose, like, the universe just opens so many doors for you. And it's just really, like, obviously practicing flow state every day helps. But it's just been amazing. So now I help predominantly women, but I help women to kind of create their dream relationship, manifest in their dream person if they're single, and if they're in a relationship that they want to improve, then I help them with that. But also it's kind of evolved because I started very much with like what I knew, which was manifest the one, and then it's kind of evolved into being more kind of spiritual teaching in general. So I work with a couple of people that want to start their own businesses up, and I help them through that process in order to find out what their purpose is and that type of thing. So I'm really loving it. Yeah. What about you?
And tell
Are you
us,
enjoying it?
I love this wee journey. It's amazing. It's just, I feel alive every day. And I know that we were both at Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within.
What did
that give you? What did you get from that?
It's really funny because I put that on my vision board it was only last summer I put it on my vision board. Yeah. And I thought it was going to be for me. And I put Florida, November, it had the date and everything. And November came, and my brother was in a really bad place. He'd just come out of a pretty horrific relationship. And I was like, do you know what? I think that the only thing that will sort him out in the space that he's in right now is Tony Robbins. So I ended up sending him to Tony Robbins.
Oh, wow.
The same one that was on my vision board. So it's funny how you think it's going to be for you, but sometimes it ends up being for the highest good for other people. And then I was so lucky to have then gone this year in April. And what did I get from that? He's amazing. Like,
oh, wow. That I wish I'd seen you there, the energy in the room. I was there with Alina, and I think somebody was trying to get her to connect with you. I remember your name coming up a few times.
So it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Did you enjoy it? It's
enjoy it,
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm desperate to go back. It really did unleash this power within, and anytime I think of it, I get goosebumps. Even you talking about it, I'm like, oh, I need to go back there.
Yeah, he's incredible. So
I
love
his energy.
It. I don't understand how he does it. Like 60-year-olds just like on stage for 11 hours a day, like dancing, like literally like a nightclub. It's mental.
Yeah, I felt
so
like I was
amazing.
back in Ibiza.
Yeah, it's amazing. Love it.
And I didn't ever see him drink any water or go to the toilet. So I don't know.
He's literally an alien from a different planet, I think.
Yeah. So tell us about your opportunities, because I seen you were on a show in LA when you were over there, and I was like, wow, like that's incredible.
Yeah, I've just, do you know what? I definitely think the best thing that you can do if you're looking to set up your own business or work on yourself or improve your life is get a mentor. And I stand by it. From that day that I worked with Ali till now, like the progression's insane. And I always have had since that day a business coach and a spiritual coach, and just like saw the progression in my life. So when I set my business up in January, I was kind of looking for, well, actually, this is a really cool story. So at the beginning of the year, I was working with this branding coach, and she's really into the law of attraction. And at the beginning of this year, she said, what's your word for the year? And I was like, what do you mean my word for the year? And she's like, well, you have to have a word for the year, and that's going to sum up your own whole year.
Amazing.
And I was like, all right, well, mine's is going to be unstoppable. And I was like, right, cool, that's going to be my word for the year. And so I went with that word, and then I started working with this woman called Nick Pigeon, and she's a Hay House author, and I started working with her in March. And basically, as I opened up my discovery pack to fill in all the questions that she'd asked me, I realized her course was called Unstoppable Success Accelerator, and I was like, oh my God, it's meant to be. So I think that's the best thing that I ever did, because she's helped me open so many like doors, and just really having that influence of somebody who has done it before has really, really helped me. So the opportunity for the Good Morning La La Land actually came from her. And she introduced me to somebody in LA who runs a TV show, and then it's amazing. So it's basically like an online TV show that's very much to do with consciousness and raising consciousness around the world. And it's doing really well.
Yeah, I've started to follow them. And the girl, your mentor, I think that's a great point for anyone who's got a business out there, is to get a mentor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you say. And I've seen, is that girl from Newcastle?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's amazing.
We've got mutual friends, I see. But amazing. Thank you for that, for sharing that story.
Yeah, I think it makes such a difference. If you're going to do something, you want to follow the path of someone who's done it before. And she's introduced me to Erin, who runs Good Morning La La Land, a TV show. And now I'm working with Erin as my spiritual coach, because she's like
amazing,
a doctor of divinity, and she's amazing. So it just shows you, I think, that everything is for a reason, and you just get one door that leads to the next, the next, and the next. So I've just kind of done this thing this year where if I'm offered an opportunity, I'll just say yes, and I'll worry about what it costs later, and I'll just be like, right, I'm doing it. And it seems to have worked out.
It sounds like you're a massive action taker, or it seems like that. I've been following your journey for a couple of months now. You really inspire me. And I think that's the key, isn't it, is to take action.
Yeah, and likewise, by the way, you really inspire me as well. I love your work, I really do.
Oh.
And you're always so happy and cheerful, and I love it. I love your vibe. I think, so when you're like, I'm sure lots of people that are listening know what the law of attraction is, but the most, you know, you can set your intentions, do your vision boards, do everything, but if you don't take action, nothing's going to come to fruition. And that's the part that I think people often forget or don't implement. So yeah, action with intention, I think, is the thing that really brings your dreams into fruition. For me anyway, that's what's worked.
Yeah, no, definitely. So intention setting and then taking massive action. Because you're right. Like there's been, you know, I've been on this journey for about 8 years. And the first few years, nothing was happening. And I was like, so I'm doing the vision board and I'm visualization. But yeah, I wasn't taking any action. I was still scared.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, it is scary because it sounds, I'm sure, like from the outside, and I know I've got friends who are like, what the hell is Kelly doing? Like, how she managed to do this stuff so quickly? And also, most of them didn't even know I was spiritual when I started my business.
Yeah.
So they were literally like, what on earth is she doing? But I think that, like, yeah, the action piece is huge, but it's not always easy. Like, I went through a massive trajectory and then I hit this brick wall of like fear in about June, July time, and I was not in a good place. Like I proper went through it and I just really started to doubt myself, and I was like, oh my god, am I doing the right thing? I spent a lot of my money because I'd sold my property to start my business, and I started to get into this real fear state. But I know that ultimately it's for the highest good for my clients, because I think I would find it really hard to understand other people if I hadn't gone through it myself and actually felt that fear, felt that doubt, felt that real kind of, I don't want to do it because I'm so scared about what other people think. And it's scary, but I think really just being present with those feelings and letting them be there is the thing that helped me come through the other side. And then just being like, oh, you know what, just go for it. What have you got to lose?
Yeah, and how do you feel? Say you're really scared before something, but you do it anyway. How do you feel afterwards?
Yeah, like amazing. I mean, I guess probably the scariest thing I've done was 3 weeks in, actually, I hadn't even set my business up yet. So I didn't have a website. I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew I was going to do love. And something popped up on my Facebook, and it was for the Best You Expo, which is basically like the largest personal development event in Europe. And I was like, right, I'm going to phone them and tell them that I want to speak. Never spoken, nothing like that. And I was like, right, I'm going to phone them. So I phoned up the girl, and she was like, so basically you're going to launch your business at the Best You Expo and get a stand and speak. And I was like, yeah, basically. She's like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. And I was so shocked that she said yes. But I literally, like 3 weeks after I set my business up, I was speaking on stage in front of, I thought would be about 20 people, and it was full maximum capacity, 120 people. They were like out the backs of the doors, the whole row was filled, and I was shitting it, excuse the expression. I was so scared. And even afterwards, like because it was my first time I'd ever done it, I refused to kind of look at that's all the stuff that I did wrong, because I knew it wasn't going to be right, but I just wanted to get the first one out of the way, do it, and like just go for it. And afterwards you do feel amazing, but I don't think it's really the first one that is important at all. It's just getting that experience under your belt to like move you forward to the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth time, you know, and then you start to feel more comfortable and confident.
Yeah, and it is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's the only way, eh?
Yeah, definitely. But it's not easy at first. Like when I was like walking on stage, I was like a robot, like But but
shaking.
But it was it's totally worth it. As long as you're kind to yourself, I think that's the most important thing, because as soon as you start to like criticize yourself and be like, that wasn't good enough, why didn't you do that way? And I think I just knew I needed to be as kind as possible and just be like, right, it wasn't perfect, but you did it, you're brave to have done it, and the next one will be better. So yeah.
And it's funny, before I came on here, I typed your name in and I found a little video clip from the expo.
Yeah, that's
so it's funny you should mention that.
Yeah, so it was awesome.
So tell us about the love, because there's so many out there that are either in love or they're looking for love, or I don't know, everyone wants to feel loved.
Yeah.
So tell us about, how did you meet your love?
Well, Actually on Tinder, believe it or not. So
Amazing.
I hear so many people that, like, loads of my clients hate online dating, and they've got loads of kind of beliefs around it. And that's the thing, it all comes down to your beliefs at the end of the day. And some of them will be conscious and some will be subconscious. And really the conscious ones can be removed easier, but I mainly help my clients with the subconscious stuff from like childhood and dynamic between your parents, that type of thing. But yeah, I met him on Tinder, there was so many synchronicities. Like, he was based in England, I was based in Scotland, and he was literally flying to go to England. He was in the airport, in Edinburgh airport, swiping. We matched. He arrived in Heathrow and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I had set my location to be at home and I'm 500 miles away now, but maybe I'll take you for dinner one day. And I was like, I'll never hear from him again. 2 days later, he messaged me and he's like, this is really random, but I've just been asked to go to Glasgow for work on Thursday. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I never worked. I lived in Edinburgh. I worked in Edinburgh. Was never really there. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm going to be in Glasgow on Thursday too. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I told him who my client was. I was like, yeah, I'm out seeing the Clydesdale Bank. And he was like, no way, so am I. So we were like seeing the same client, same day, same city.
Oh my God.
And we both lived in totally different countries. And it was really important for me to be with someone who believed in the universe and the law of attraction. And literally the first words he said, well, the universe wanted me to be here, so here I am. And I was like, so I really do believe that, like, you get given, if you ask for the signs, you get given them. You get given synchronicities and signs and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel really grateful, but it wasn't always that way. Like, the only reason why I help people with this now is because I was so bad with men for like a whole decade. I really struggled with self-love. I struggled with toxic relationships, and a lot of that came from me, right? Because I didn't love myself as well. So I didn't treat men well either. So yeah, so hopefully that answers your question.
So yeah, no, that's amazing. And I've just gone back on Tinder, so it's great to see that you found your match there.
Yeah,
gives me some hope.
Definitely. And I do definitely think it's down to like beliefs. A lot of it is. And there are amazing men out there. I know you said in your post earlier on the Instagram thing about deep men and being deep with them. And there are deep men out there. There are men that are really connected.
Yeah, I want a guy that wants to talk about deep stuff, some deep questions I want to ask. But it's funny, I put that up and then I ended up texting the guy from last night to say, listen, it was lovely to meet you, like, you're a great person. And then he wrote back something really lovely and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So again, it was my inner dialogue was telling me, in my head, I was like, nah, he doesn't like me, didn't feel the energy. His text message was completely different to what I was telling myself. So
yeah,
it's these deep beliefs that we have.
Yeah,
I just need to amp up the self-love again.
Yeah, the inner critic, and just like, I think that was actually probably the hardest part for me, was once I'd found him, that was when the self-sabotaging behaviors kicked in. Because I was then like telling myself that he was going to do what my ex did, or he was going to cheat, or he was going to do this and that. And you have to work so hard on your mindset, just as you do to bring that person in, to then, continue the relationship. Because it's really, really easy to get into that place of like, oh, I'm scared.
Yes.
It is scary. It's scary being vulnerable with someone.
Yeah. And that old behavior is coming back in when you're having this mirror in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So,
but you're doing the right thing. You're engaged.
I know.
So when's the wedding?
Well, we're not really in a massive rush, to be honest with you. Like, I'm delighted to be engaged, but we've got like a house that's a doer-upper. So the first thing I really want to do is get the house done up, to be honest with you, just because I really want, because now I live in Reading. So I moved to England to move in with him, and I'd really like to move a bit further south. So I think that's our main priority, and then plus I really want a wedding that's quite extravagant on a beach somewhere. Lovely. So I think I'm going to have to save for a couple of years for that.
Okay, good. So you're writing a book just now. What is the book about?
Yeah, I've not really spoken about it too much, because it's with about 12 other female entrepreneurs, and we
Ah,
each
okay.
have a chapter. And
Ah, I see.
Nick Pigeon, the lady I was telling you about, my mentor,
Yes.
she's doing the forward for it. So it's all of the women really that are kind of related to her, if that makes sense. And it's called Made for More. So yeah, I'm really excited. I did my chapter. I finished it last week, and it's very much about self-love. It's about the universe, law of attraction, synchronicities, and I kind of tell the story of love, but also learning to kind of love the tough times in your life as well. Because I think that if we don't learn to see the light in the difficulties, we actually keep getting given that pattern until we can
Yeah.
learn from it, basically. So it's kind of to do with some of the mistakes that I made and how I even my dad dying, for instance, I talk about
Mm.
that and how being able to see the light and see the good things that came from that, even though it's one of the most difficult things a human can go through, I think, is losing
Mm-hmm.
a parent. But there were reasons why, now I look back, why it happened the way it did, to do with my career and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
think that that's really healing for anybody. So I talk about that in the chapter a lot as well.
Thank you for sharing. I can't wait to read the book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's really exciting. It comes out at the end of November.
Wow, soon.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what book would you suggest to everyone listening out there that they should read? Like, what's one of the books that you've read that's just maybe transformed or allowed you to see life differently?
100% The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. So
Yes.
I actually went to Vegas on my mum's hen do. It would have been not last year, which was 26, so it would have been 2016, I think. Oh
Mm-hmm.
gosh, sorry, I'm getting confused with my years. But no, it was last year, so it would have been 2017 in May. And basically, I read it in Vegas. There was a lady who I'd been thinking, oh, I quite like Gabby. I'd quite like to read her book, The Universe Has Your Back. And then I went to Vegas, and her friend said, oh, I've just got this book and I finished it. I've got 2 pages left. Do you want to read it? And it was Gabby's book. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, it's a sign. I'm going to read it. So I read it when I was in Vegas, of all places. And I basically, it completely changed my life. I was like, right, that's it. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to go for it. If I have the faith, if I trust it's just going to work out, then it will. So I did. I packed my job in when I got back from Vegas,
Wow.
basically. Yeah. And then
It's a powerful book. I have read it and so powerful that you quit your job. I love that.
yeah, it's so powerful. It really is. So I'd been thinking about it. I'd been to Bali in the January and I kind of thought I'd like to start a business and I just didn't know how I was going to do it financially. And then when I read The Universe Has Your Back, I was like, do you know what? Go for it. I'm going to sell my property, use that money, and then just see what happens. And it
Wow.
seems to have worked out.
Yeah, you're a total mover and shaker in this world. I love it.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
so what are the goals going forward for 2019? Do you have like goals that you want to achieve or?
Yeah, do you know what? It's really funny. I haven't actually thought about it yet. I definitely want to be doing my own events. I definitely want to be speaking more. I'd like to be speaking on a kind of monthly basis. I did my own event in LA just gone. That was the first one I ran myself, which was great. But I'd love to be doing more kind of spiritual events. And I'd quite like to kind of keep developing that spiritual side of things and really helping to heal people, helping to raise consciousness and help people understand themselves more. So that's my plan
Amazing.
anyway. And I would really like to write my own book as well. I think I'd like to put a proposal in next year and get a book proposal contract sorted out next year as well. That's a plan of mine.
They sound like amazing goals.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited.
And what would you say what's your, up until this point, what's the thing that you've achieved that you feel really proud of? What's the
Um,
one thing that you feel just super proud that you've achieved that?
I think that's a really good question. Um, I think I'm really proud because there's this lady called Gail Larson. I don't know if you've heard of her before, but
I
she's
haven't.
basically like one of the best speaking coaches in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's taught Gabby Bernstein, Marie Forleo, Chris Carr, I think Danielle Laporte, all the
Oh,
big
wow.
names. She's
Yep.
taught them all to speak. And I reached out to her at the beginning of the year and I said, I want to be a speaker. This is my story. This is what I'd like to do. And she was like, great, fill in this form. And she basically like put me at the top of her list to go on her speaking
Wow.
immersion course. So yeah, so I did that in June. And I'm really, really proud that I got invited to speak and learn off her. And that was
That's
probably the thing
incredible.
I'm most proud of, I think, is getting through that week and realizing that I'd made the right decision to follow this path and just trust in the universe. So I'd say that that is one of them. But on a personal level, I would say having a healthy relationship.
Yes.
It's a pretty big deal for me.
That's a big deal. It is.
Yeah, so I would say that that's something I'm really proud of as well.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
So I've got a couple of questions from Instagram. One was, what is the number one reason people fall out of love? What do you think the reason is that people fall out of love?
That's a really tough one, isn't it? Because I think you can't really generalize because it could be for a number of reasons, but like lots of communication breakdowns huge. Like communication is so key in a relationship and being able to communicate when you feel upset about something and the reasons why, or but also looking at I think that over time, like Tony Robbins has got this amazing quote where he says, if you treat someone the way that you treated them at the beginning of your relationship wouldn't end. And I think that's
Yes.
amazing because it's so easy to start taking somebody for granted. And just like you practice gratitude in your life for, you know, the leaves on the trees outside and being able to see and being able to hear, you should be doing that for your partner as well.
Yes.
And if you sit in gratitude and write down all the things that you're grateful for, I really do believe that less relationships would end because we get into this, it's all about our thoughts really at the end of the day. You kind of start thinking things that are negative about your partner and then they manifest. And I believe that's the reason why relationships don't work. But I don't imagine that that's going to be like top of Daily Mail's list as the reason why.
It's so true though. But you know, when Tony shared that, you know, about him and his wife, how they greet each other.
Yeah.
The way they greet each other, like back when they first met, like running and hugging and overwhelmed with love with each other. It's amazing. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it
Like to
does. It
really
really
look
does.
into your partner's eyes every time they come home and be like, I love you.
Yeah,
It's going to
totally.
last, eh? It's going to last.
Yeah, it is. I think it's he's very good. He's very much learned about relationships. I think he's good at that. Definitely.
He's good at that.
Yeah.
So another question here, and it says, at what point do you tell a couple that you're coaching that they're beyond help?
I think I saw that one. That one's funny. Oh gosh. I just prefer to be honest with people to like, because I think that there's only so far you can take people, and it's better to just be honest and then see what happens because there's not a lot you can do if a couple's completely finished and over. Then I guess you might just need to be honest that it's kind of done and dusted. But it's a hard one, isn't it? Because unless you really know the couple personally, then it's hard for me to say. But yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. So that was the questions from Instagram. But like before we finish up tonight, what sort of self-love care tips would you give everyone out there? What's your top 3?
So top 3, I think if you're single and you're looking for love, like basically the best thing that you can do to bring in a high level person or a person that you really, really want is become that person yourself. And by that, I mean, like, if you're writing down traits like, I want them to be really successful, I want them to have their shit together and all these things, and you better have made sure that you've done that as well, because that person who comes in is just a mirror of you. So like if you want somebody to buy you flowers, for instance, then you should be doing that for yourself as a single woman, or even in a relationship. If you expect your partner to treat you a certain way, you want to be making sure that you treat yourself that way first. So that's my first self-care one.
That's so good. Yes.
Oh, thank you. And then I think affirmations are amazing. Like I love and I accept myself fully, or whatever affirmations you want to use, but the kind of mirror affirmations, Ali was the person who told me to start with them years ago, and I was like, I'm not doing that. That sounds awful. But they really, really work.
Looking at yourself in the mirror, saying the affirmation, like deeply into your own eyes.
Yeah, like connects with your soul or something. It's just really, really powerful, and it definitely shifts things. For me anyway, it's really, really worked. So that's a biggie, I think, that really, really works. And what else? I mean, I'll tell you one that's a bit odd, but it's really, really, it's really. So one of the things that I really struggled with when I was younger was needing attention off men. And I was very much aware when I, would walk down the street, for instance, I would be, not all the time, but I'd be conscious of like if someone was looking at me and if someone wasn't. And if they weren't, then I would really let that affect my own confidence. And I started to realize as I got into my late 20s that this wasn't a very healthy habit. And I had to kind of go through a bit of a transitionary period where I would really be conscious of myself in those situations. So if I walked into a bar, for instance, was I looking for that confirmation off a man, or was I giving it to myself and it didn't really matter and I was having a good night by myself? So I think that in today's society, it's really, that's a big challenge for a lot of women, especially when there's so much put on the way that you look in your image. So that really, really helped me to love myself and not care about what other people think and what other men think. And it's just that consciousness of it. It's just being aware of it so that you can then start to like change your thoughts around it. The first step is just noticing it, because most women do it and they don't even know they do it. It's just habitual. It's just part of our society, but it's actually really harming. It's really harming for our own self-worth. And as we age as well, it's very difficult. Because, you hear women saying that they feel like they are invisible once they get to a certain age. And actually, I think that if we work on that from a young age, and that's not the way that we validate ourselves, then that wouldn't be a problem as we become older. And again, it's all down to our beliefs as well, because I don't believe that's true. I don't believe women that get older are invisible at all. I think that they just tell themselves that, and then that's what they see. Yeah. So
I can't wait to turn 40. I think your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, you're going to be on fire, because you've got so much knowledge and understanding of life.
Totally. And I meet amazing women that are like all ages, but like I can literally think of so many right now in their 40s or 50s, and they just are like massive shining stars. And it's so much more than the exterior, so that really, really helped me from a self-love perspective, just being conscious of those patterns and just being conscious of that need for approval and being able to shift it. That's been huge for me.
And that's great, because that does start from a really young age, doesn't it? Like that's, for me, must have started like teenage years. You'd walk into school and you'd look at the boys to see if they're looking at you.
Yeah.
And then, it's just been passed on from generations, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that with social media now, the way it is, and the pressure on young girls, it's even worse, and it's becoming much, much more prominent. So I think it's something that like really we could help with a lot when it comes to women's self-love and self-worth, because it's sometimes a bit scary looking at the norm nowadays to get loads of stuff pumped into your face and things like that when you're like 17, 18 years old. I think that there's a lot that influencers can do to help with that and help with the kind of inner love work.
Yeah, and the inner love is what we're all about, Kelly. I love it.
Yeah, I do as well. It's a massive, it's massively worthwhile, I think, because you'll find a better fit if you do that inner work, I think, first.
Yeah. And you're a meditator.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's like the main thing that I kind of teach people is daily meditation is the thing that will literally change your life. Like it's completely changed my life. And any sessions that I do, I'll always take someone through a meditation as well because it's really healing. Like I think that you can create a lot of change in someone's subconscious through meditation as well. So yeah, I'm hugely into it. I love it. I love it so much.
So how can
You
people
love
get
it
in
as well,
touch with
right?
you? Oh, I guide, like I started about 8 years. It was my brother that got me onto meditation. And it's just a real foundation for everything that transformed for me. And
Yeah.
just daily practice now, still doing the meditation and guiding meditations as well, like yourself, like taking people through meditations.
Yeah,
Just
it's
love it.
amazing. I know, I
Yeah.
love it. It's so good. So, yes, anyone who's watching, if you don't meditate, start.
Yeah, that's our best advice for you out there. It's
Yeah.
like the one I resisted it for so long and made so many excuses.
Really? Well,
Yes, I was,
yeah, I wasn't, it was never of interest to me, to be honest, ever. And then I got into probably like Ali probably helped me get into it as well. And then I think when you start getting into high performance, you look at the kind of correlation between CEOs and high performers and pretty much, I would say 98% of like multi-millionaires meditate on a daily basis because they
yes.
have to, but also because it's so good for your performance.
Yeah, and they invest in themselves. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we both have been to Tony Robbins. Is there any other sort of seminars you're going to coming up, or are you committed to go to more trainings?
Definitely, but no, not at the moment. I have literally done so many up leveling events this year that I was like, right, I'm gonna just focus on the business over the next few
Yeah.
months and then see what happens next year. I'd like to get some retreats booked in, maybe. I'd really like to go and do ayahuasca actually next year.
Oh,
I think, yeah.
Amazing.
So I've not done that yet, so I'd like to do that. But no, I'd quite like to go to Brendan Burchard at some point, I think.
Yes,
I'd quite like
he's
to
good.
go and see him. But yeah, there's loads I want to do. Loads.
So how do people see you, get in touch with you, or have you got events coming up yourself that we can book tickets for? Like, tell us all you're doing.
Yeah, so at the moment, I don't have any specific events. I was speaking to somebody today actually about doing one in London. But I work with people on a one-to-one basis. So people can obviously reach out via my website, which is www.kellypretty.me. And I've just launched a group program, but I'll be relaunching again in probably the end of January, I think. It's a 3-month group program.
Amazing.
And then they can obviously just catch up on my content on Instagram. So my Instagram is at Kelly_pretty, or add me on Facebook. I post content really regularly, so they'll be able to kind of catch my vibe and see what I'm about and stuff there. So yeah,
amazing. And we can also add the links. I'm going to repost this so that other people can watch it and they can watch the replay. So if you could post, or I'll post your links underneath, so anyone that wants to, and we'll post the link to the Gabby Bernstein book as well for anyone that's not read it yet. Are you speaking next weekend at Tommy Gentleman's event? Yeah, I just noticed that, guy, because you'd posted something. What are you doing there?
Yeah, so I met Tommy at the Best You Expo, and he, off the back of the Best You Expo, he created an event called, or I think it was his second one that he did, called the Super Self Summit, and he got some amazing speakers lined up. Callum Best was there, and there was some other ones as well, I think Mel Wells, and got a really, really strong event. And he asked me to speak, and unfortunately, I was at Gail Larson at the thing in Santa Fe, so I couldn't speak. So now he's doing another one next weekend in, Basingstoke, that's it. So I'm speaking there. I've got like a 45-minute slot, and there's lots of speakers over the 2 days. And yeah, and I'm speaking about beliefs, and yeah, we'll see how that
Amazing.
goes.
Yeah, because there's still tickets available. So anyone down that way, you know, I wish I was free next weekend. I'd come down and watch.
There's so it's a personal development event. There's Rhiannon Lambert. I don't know if you know of her, but she's like an amazing nutritionist. She's probably the best in the industry. So she's speaking, and then there's some other really good speakers as well. So yeah, it's super exciting actually. I totally forgot about that.
It's only because I clocked it today and I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
Yeah. So I'm doing that next weekend.
Amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I can't wait to meet you in person physically one day.
I know.
Well, I'm up. Scotland, let me know.
I'm up for Christmas, so hopefully I can maybe
meet.
come to a meditation, because you've got
yes,
Cam on. Is it Cam on
Cannon Street? Yes. Yes.
So I'd love to come.
I'd love to have you there.
Definitely.
We'll go for coffee.
Yeah, that would be really nice. So thanks so much for having me. It's been lovely chatting.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing and
You're
just
welcome.
being your beautiful self.
You too.
Okay. Take care.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.